A beautiful, beautiful good morning to you. These are the primulas which have been in the pots now for, I think about 3 years. They look sort of bedraggled a bit during the winter, but then suddenly, as you can see, they just come into their own. So I'm just delighted to see them this morning. I think the sunshine yesterday brought them out a wee bit. So I'm just going to take you around and show you some of the incredible changes that have been taking place here at Bealtaine Cottage. I'm still getting used to my camera and discovering all kinds of lovely things about it. So that's an ongoing process. But I'm not going to talk too much now about the camera because as I discover features, I'll just share them with you. So I'm just up here on the bank, just up those little steps opposite the back door, and I can hear a bee. Try and pan as slowly as I can. And also try not to do too many close-ups because they do take a long time to upload. Look at the leaves coming out on the beautiful, don't know the right name for it. It's a red sycamore. I think it's a tree which is very popular in Canada. I know my son, when he was visiting from Canada, bought that for me, years ago. And then a big tree that was over on the bank, which wasn't actually on my property, fell over and crashed down through this tree and took virtually all the branches off. But if you look, you can see where all the new branches have kind of just come out from, you know. So it's a very interesting shape now because of that. Okay. So there's all the black thorn blossom. It's coming out all over the place. And the leaves on the forsythias coming out. And the spirea. I did cut back the spirea quite hard. And there's the cordylines growing up through what is a purple beech. But I think the beech tree shelters it. There's another compost heap there in front of me. And all the new willow growth, look at that. This is just looking down from the bank, down along the back of the shed. I'm in the middle of clearing the shed out at the moment and discovered that I had stored absolutely dozens of DVDs in there. So last night I got an incredible series featuring Helen Mirren, who I think is an actress second to none. She is just the top actress. The series is Prime Suspect. So it was a series made for television, I think in 1991 or 92, and wow, does it stand the test of time. She is an amazing actress. So I was spellbound by that, and I only watched one of the discs. I think there's about 7 or 8 discs in the pack. So I was spellbound till about 1 o'clock in the morning watching it. Of course, I was in bed. I had my tiny little DVD player with a screen that is only about, I think the screen is only about 6 inches. 6 inches square, It's one of those tiny little DVD players that you'd normally put in the back of a car for kids. And that's what I use. Anyway, continue with my little walk. Oh, look at this. The carrier is out. Now there's the little hedge I put in along the drain. And these were just little bits of boxes I stuck in the ground. This is amazing stuff because it just roots so easily. But look at what's beyond that. Now I'm going to do a little zoom in to the carrier. Isn't that lovely? These are the lime trees. Now I've also seen blossom out on, I think this is an amelanchier. Just say, look at this beautiful blossom, isn't it gorgeous? Isn't that lovely? Has these lovely reddish leaves as well. And there's the little leaves coming out on the little baby birch. Jack is over there just by the stone circle. I think you can smell the fox. The fox is a little pathway that goes up around the stone circle and up onto the hill. Come on then. Lots of growth on the willow. Now this little screen, I can actually tilt the little screen out to watch what I'm filming from a much better angle as well. I said I wasn't going to talk about the camera, but look, I am. It's one of the oak trees. Now remember I said I was going to be either planting or potting up or sowing 40 trees over the course of what is traditionally the Lent period. Well, I haven't forgotten, I'm still doing it. Here, one of the bees. It's the black currant. Ah, look! Look at this little black currant. Flowers ready to burst forth. Isn't that wonderful? Absolutely lots and lots of black currants. They're very prolific here at Bealtaine. And also you can see I try never to have a monoculture. So in the midst of the black currants, look, you can see I've put in ribes, and behind that carrier, and quite close by dogwoods, and behind that fuchsia. So there's a good mix, which means that the bees are continually attracted to the area. And of course they're the ones who do the work. Now there's some flowers out, look, on the jostaberry, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And of course the bees will be pollinating that. Quite a nice smell here as well. When you think of all the plants, you know, like virtually everything here will grow from cuttings and that give you food. And of course, if it's giving you food, it's giving the bees and the insects food as well, because they're the ones that absolutely live off the blossoms, off the nectar. And blossom out on my little cherry tree. This will be opening very, very soon. And I think this year I'm going to have some blossom on this little tree. Now, I'd almost given up on this last year because it seemed to have a very kind of a coarse graft on it, you know. And what I did do, after I'd mulched it, I give it a good feed as well of compost. So it's looking very promising, isn't it? You can see there, look, a little bit of dead wood. And I was just saying, you know, to my daughter there last year, I said, oh, I'm so disappointed with this because it was a little ornamental tree that was a gift, you know. And she said, oh, well, just see how it does. Now, I do have, over there in the corner, a mulberry tree. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction. There's absolutely nothing on it at all. And that was bought as a gift for me, but it was one of those that had been very tightly staked. And when I took the ties off, there was rings around the actual tree. So I think the tree is immensely weakened, and of course they're fed with a lot of chemicals too. This is the problem with garden centres, so I'm just going to leave it there and see how it does. Remind yourself to give that a feed of compost, because if anything's going to bring it to life, it'll be some good natural organic material. I heavily pruned the snowberry bushes. I've got quite a lot of them in the garden because again they grew from cuttings. They have benefited immensely from being heavily pruned because look, you see the new growth there. And all the differing shades of pink on the ribes. And I think I was right about the apple blossom because I said about a week ago it's going to be about 2 weeks. And it's looking to be right on schedule because I'd say that has about another week to go. Depends really now on the weather. If the weather stays this nice kind of mild temperature, lots more blossom coming out on the plum. Promise of fruit this year. Actually, most of the blossom is up high. It's hard to pick it out against the sky behind. Show you in here the Dicentra spectabilis, which is generic name I think is bleeding heart. You see, that's come out beautifully. Isn't that lovely? And lots more of this wonderful food for the bees, Chinese forget-me-not. The blossom on the nectarine tree now has just gone over. You see the leaves coming out on the spirea there in front of the bins. I'll take you down through the fairy wood. But before we go down there, this has really opened up now. I mean, this was just a chink a couple of years ago. It was just like about a little gap of a couple of inches, and now there's a gap of about 3.5, 4 feet. So it really holds the promise of a little entrance to the fairy wood. I might start working on that this summer. We'll see. And then, if you look down through there, look. Isn't that fascinating? There's little kind of windows in the wall being opened up. So we'll go down through the fairy wood and then back up along the steps at the front. And those of you who have a map, of course, will know exactly where I'm going. So of course I'm panning very slowly. Now, this camera is certainly picking up depth better, because there you can really see how steep that climb is. So there's ferns have come out down here now, and the spurge, and then there's ferns there that are ready to unfurl. And it's still quite extraordinarily bright in here because of course the leaves are only just beginning to open up. There's a lot of light coming through. See some primroses in there. Ah, there's the leaves beginning to unfurl on one of the rowan trees and blossom. The promise of blossom on the rowan. That's really having to fight for light, you know. But doesn't seem to have done it any harm. All the beautiful lichens, because these are lichens too. See? These are lichens. And moss, and ivy, and brambles. This is where I had to do an emergency dig out during all that heavy rain. But it's all settling back in again. There was a lot of water coming down, so I made sure that it was all channeled off and away. So channeled it into this old drain here, and away it went. Some leaves beginning to come out on the ash. And there's some beautiful ferns there, just unfurling. See this beautiful mess here of dead branches and living branches and leaves. That's an amazing little home for goodness knows how many creatures, as well as a little sanctuary for birds during a storm. There's another little habitat pile. Now I've just noticed this. There's a little cotoneaster. It's obviously grown from seed. Oh, this is strange, look. And beside it a little black currant. Now there's been some birds sat, let me see, probably here in the dogwoods, eating cotoneaster berries and black currants, and this little bit of rubus, they're probably eating the berries of the rubus as well. This is why birds are so very important because they're the real Johnny apple seeds. Do you know that? The birds in protected earth, and I mean protected from grazing animals, the birds will spread an awful lot of life. But they can only spread it if the life is there already. So by planting cotoneasters and black currants and red currants and rubus and all the other fruit-bearing plants, and then by having the area well fenced off from sheep and cattle, and by encouraging the birds onto your woodland sanctuary, the regeneration starts. You can't just fence off a piece of land and hope for the best. You have to have an input. Now the rubus here has spread beautifully just in this area. And again, this is all a very muddy bank. So in the past, when it rained, a huge amount of erosion happened. Because the rubus is down, the erosion has stopped. And in fact, what's happened instead to this little kind of non-interesting piece of the land, what has happened is that the rubus and the sedge and the crocosmia and the various little trees and bushes has created an incredible habitat here. And I know for a fact that the pheasant comes down here quite a lot, and I think the pheasant uses this as part of his shelter. So, I'm going to finish quite soon because it's up to 27 minutes, but lots of blossom now out on the cherry tree, lots of blossom on the carrier, blossom on the ribes, blossom on the damson tree. It's just like a whole symphony of sound and smells and colours and, you know, beautiful. Just beautiful. So I'm going to say blessings to you all. I'll try and upload this video now, but I am very, very busy because I've been clearing out the shed, one of the sheds, and I've got an enormous amount of stuff to take into town, dividing it between charity shops and recycling centre. And that's just one of my tasks for today. And I've got to get to the post office as well. So blessings to you all. Have a lovely, lovely Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. And don't forget that there's a link underneath this video to where you can purchase one of the Bealtaine Cottage books and the maps. So blessings to you all.